Let me zoom out just a little bit. Inverse functions. First thing I need you to know about inverse functions is the notation that we're going to use. Okay? I could write inverse functions. That's not a whole lot of letters, right? It's just 2 words. Well, what does this mean right here? That means y, right? But specifically it means a function. Okay? This means we're talking about a function. I could say f of x equals 2x plus 6. I could say f of x equals 3x plus 9. I could say f of x equals 2x squared plus 12, right? Anything like that. But what I'm saying by using this notation right here is that it is a function, right? Do you want to write the words inverse function every single time, or would you be happy if there was a shorter notation? Okay, here's what that notation is. F negative 1 of x. Now, I need you to understand a couple things just to make sure. In function notation, I'm not saying f times x. You understand that? I'm talking about a function, and the variable I'm using is x. It could say f of a. You know that, right? F of r. If I was talking about a function and the variable I was using was r, this equation would be 2r plus 6. Does that make sense to you? Okay, so right here I'm saying f negative 1. Am I raising the f to a negative 1 power? No, it's just the notation. It's just how we write it. F negative 1 of x, it means that we are talking specifically about an inverse function. That means inverse. Okay? Now let's get down to the down and dirty stuff of actually finding an inverse function. Okay? First of all, let's start. Can we start easy? Is that all right? 1, 2, 3, 6, 4, negative 5. Oh, I don't want 3. I want 8, 10. Ooh, I want negative 8. Yeah, that's better. Is that a function? How do you tell if it's a function? And no x's repeat. Right? Remember that? No x's repeat? If no x's repeat, that means it's a function. So this is right here is my function, f of x. I want to be able to find f negative 1 of x. I want to find the inverse. Now I need everyone to pay attention because this is super hard. 2, 1, 6, 3, negative 5, 4, 10, negative 8. So see what I mean? Super hard. Oh, so the opposite of that? Okay. All right. So I want you to develop a definition for me right now of how to find an inverse. Do I have to do that with my hands too? Swippity swap. Can we make it a little bit more mathy? How do we find an inverse? Okay, that's right. It's long. Switch x and y. How about that? Will that work? Switch x and y. I like all the hand motions you guys are giving me. I mean, appropriate hand motions. Okay? All right? So how do we find an inverse? How do we find an inverse? Switch x and y. Now, is it always as easy as that? No, you know it's not. Okay? Does it get too much harder, though, to be fair? No. We'll continue to start easy. Is that okay? F of x equals 2x plus 1. How do I switch x and y if there's no y? You know that f of x stands for y, don't you? Okay, it's another way to write it in our level of math. Okay, so if I'm switching x and y, don't I just need to switch x and y? Can't I rewrite this as x equals 2y plus 1? Didn't I just switch x and y? Okay, now here's the deal. Is this typically how I write an equation? How do I write an equation? Y equals. Okay, so when we're given points, we switch x and y and we're done. When we're given an equation, we switch x and y and solve for y. So if I'm solving for y, what am I doing? What do I do first, do you think? Subtract 1. X minus 1 equals 2y. And then divide both sides by 2. As pre-AP students in my room right now, and if you happen to be watching in your pre-AP, I need you to understand that there's two ways to write this answer. As a regular student, regular Algebra 2, not pre-AP, if you're watching right now in my class or if you're watching the video, I need you to understand there's two ways to write this answer. So that pretty much goes for everybody, right? Okay. What's one way I can write this answer? X minus 1 over 2. What's the other way I can write this answer? 1/2 x minus 1/2. Does that make sense? Isn't there a 1 in front of this x? So if I divide each term by 2, don't I get 1/2 x minus 1/2? Yeah? Which one is more correct? Neither one. Choose one. You need to understand that this means this and that this means this. I'm not going to ask you to write it a specific way. I want you to write it the way you're more comfortable with. I would take both of these answers on a quiz or a test. Okay? But whichever way you choose to write the answer, we haven't written the answer yet, have we? Because the answer is, well, first of all, I need you to realize and not freak out that the y is on this side of the equation. Okay? That freaks some people out. They don't like it at all. Okay? So when I write my actual answer, I'm going to write it on the correct side, quote unquote correct side. Okay? Because here's the way you write your answer. Aren't we trying to find the inverse? So shouldn't we notate in our answer that we have found the inverse? This is our work. This is our answer. Does that make sense? Trying to figure out why. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's. I love that. All right. Let's do this. 1, 2. I want this to be absolutely the same as mine, so I'm going to count out loud for you so you know where I'm going. Okay? I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my y-intercept is 4. And then from my y-intercept, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1. So from my y-intercept, I'm also going to go down 3 and over 1 to the left. Well, if that's true, what's the equation of that line that I just drew? Y equals mx plus b. So 3x plus 4. You okay with that? What if I said, find the inverse of this graph, but I didn't give you the equation? What's one thing you could do? What? Hold on just a second. What'd you say? Nobody said. A girl said something. What'd you say? You could use the points, right? You could figure out what points these were and switch them and regraph them, right? Well, let's do that. Okay. This point is 0, 4. So it would be 4, 0. This point is 1, 7. So it would be 7, 1. This point is 2, 10. So 10, whoop. I think I went too far on this one, which means I went too far on that one now. Sorry. Sorry, ignore that one, ignore that one. So that one is 3, 13. 4, 7, 13. So this one is negative 1, 1. So that would be 1, negative 1. This one is negative 2, negative 2. So what would that be? It would be negative 2, negative 2, right? Right there. Okay. This point is negative 3, negative 5. So that would be 3, 4, 5. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Ignore that. This one is, this is taking forever. Oh, we could do the pattern, couldn't we? Okay. So if I went over 3 down 1, over 3 down 1, over 3 down 1, 1, 2, 3 down 1, 1, 2, 3 down 1, 1, 2, 3 down 1. Okay. So that's one way I could do it, right? What's another way I could do it? If I just gave you the graph. Well, you could find the equation of that line, and then we could switch x and y and solve for y, right? Now that's a mess because my y-intercept is negative 4/3. So that's negative 4/3, and then down 1 over 3. Oh, that's a mess. That's not even on points, right? I have points on my line because I moved these points, right? I switched x and y on the points. But if I went down 4/3 and then down 1 over 3, that's still in the right place. Down 1 over 3, that's in the right place, and so on, right? Still a mess, right? Are these two lines symmetric of each other somehow?